What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Finally, we are here. UFC 300 is tomorrow night. I can't fucking wait for this card. Even though in the past few videos, like, a little while back, I was shitting all over UFC 300 because I wanted to be a lot better than this, but still, regardless, this is a great card. The biggest fight card of the year by far. Probably going to do big numbers. Dana White said that it's going to do over 1 million pay-per-view buys. Not 3 million. Holy shit. Over 1 million pay-per-view buys, which I hope it would. It's the 300th pay-per-view. You know what I mean? But this is fucking exciting. I can't wait for this card. And I'm going to give you guys my full fight card predictions. The prelims, the early prelims, and the main card. I'm not going to go in depth in every single fight because I already made videos for some of these fights. So if you guys want to go, just look at my channel and just find those videos. They're pretty recent. I made a video about Jamahal Hill and Pereira. I made a video about this first fight here between Cody and Figueiredo. I made some other videos as well, but I'm going to go in depth in the other ones that I did not really talk about. But let's go ahead and get right into it. The first fight of UFC 300 is Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. What a way to start the card. I already gave you guys my prediction that Figueiredo is going to knock out Cody Garbrandt. It's just unfortunate. Listen, Cody Garbrandt is a great fighter, and I probably might be rooting for him. I really do like Cody Garbrandt, but I don't think that he has it. I mean, he could definitely. He just has to really evade Figueiredo and just not get hit by a big time punch. But there's a whole lot of time where Figueiredo can just find that shot, and I feel like eventually he will. And I think, hell, I can definitely see it in the first round. I might change my prediction just a little bit, just now to a first round knockout. I don't even know if I said that in my first video. I believe I said second round knockout for Figueiredo, but I'm gonna go with a first round knockout. I think he gets him out early. I think he finds the shot, and I think he puts him out right off the gate. And there's a lot of more incentive. In the press conference, Dana White said that anybody that gets performance of the night bonuses, and fight of the night or whatever will get $300,000. So people are going to just start throwing and try to have the greatest fight that they ever had in their lives. Because, I mean, dude, $300,000 is no joke. So I know Cody is looking at that, and he's like, damn, $300,000 doesn't sound too bad, and he might leave himself open. Not saying that it's going to completely just like deter everybody from their game plan, but like $300,000, that is a lot of money for a bonus. So, hell, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm still going to go with Figueiredo getting the knockout. Let's go to the next fight, which is Jim Miller versus Bobby Green. A great fight. Been going back and forth. I think this is a pretty even fight, if I'm being honest with you. I think I'm feeling Jim Miller more. Jim Miller, I just think right now, obviously Bobby Green coming off a loss against Jalin Turner, a knockout loss. I think Jim Miller will be able to catch Bobby Green at some point in the fight. I think in the second round, I think he'll be able to catch him, and he'll be able to put Bobby Green away. Not saying that Bobby Green is chinny, but like obviously coming off a knockout loss, especially the magnitude of what happened between him and Jalin Turner, is not great for Bobby Green at all. I think that definitely Bobby Green is going to definitely pick Jim Miller apart probably in the first round, in the early round, but I think eventually Jim is going to find something, and he's going to knock out Bobby Green eventually and beat him, and that will be pretty much it. I don't know if Jim Miller fights after this or Bobby Green as well. They're like legends in the game, obviously, veterans who have been fighting in the UFC for so many years. This will be a great time for Jim Miller. I mean, is Bobby Green ranked? I don't even know if he is ranked. I don't think he is. They actually don't have him ranked here. Unless I'm tripping. I don't think he is. No, he is number 14. Jim Miller will be in the rankings, but like realistically, who is he beating at? I don't even know what weight class. It's a lightweight bout. Okay. Like, who is he beating in the lightweight division in the top 10? There's not, I think, a majority, 90%, hell, probably 100% of the people will probably beat Jim Miller in the lightweight division that is in the top 10, if I'm being honest with you. There's no reason for him to continue to fight. I understand that, he probably wants to continue fighting, but, like, at the end of the day, he fought on UFC 100, 200, and now 300. That is insane. At some point, especially if he loses, he has to call it a career. But I'm going to go with a knockout in the second round for Jim Miller. I think it will be a pretty good fight too, honestly. I think Bobby Green will have some good moments in that first round. But then at the end of the day, I think Jim Miller will find something and he will knock him out. Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. Not going to lie, I did not do any homework on this. I'm just going to pick Marina Rodriguez because I honestly, guys, I've seen a few of Jessica Andrade's fights. I don't find Jessica Andrade to be all that special, if I'm being honest with you. She's an alright fighter. Marina Rodriguez, I don't know a whole lot. I don't think I've seen a Marina Rodriguez fight yet. Call me a casual. I don't fucking care. I just fucking, I don't give a shit. This fight, don't really care. This is like, whatever to me. But I'm going to go with Marina Rodriguez because why not? Unanimous decision, you know? Jalin Turner and Renato Moicano. This is in the early prelims still. Man, this is a great fight. Holy shit. Did not go in depth in this one. This is a great fight. I went back and watched Jalin Turner's last two fights, which was him and Bobby, and then him and Dan Hooker. And he looked great. In the Dan Hooker fight, he looked fantastic. I really do think Jalin Turner is extremely underrated. He is a guy that can hang with the best of them in the lightweight division, in my honest opinion. Moicano is great too. I think I watched Moicano's last fight, which I believe was a fight that happened recently. And obviously a great fighter. He is on, I believe, a five-fight win streak right now. Or 6, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But I wasn't as impressed with his performance as I compared to Jalin Turner. Obviously, Jalin Turner fighting a guy like Bobby Green, I feel like it was pretty obvious that you got to pick Jalin Turner to win that fight, in my opinion. He just had everything going for him in that fight, in my honest opinion. Moicano, obviously, I think he's going to want to grapple with Jalin Turner. Jalin Turner definitely does struggle with the takedowns because he did get taken down against Mateusz Gamrot, and he got, one big issue. That's one big issue with him, but he was eventually able to get up. And I don't think that Moicano is good at getting takedowns in comparison to Mateusz Gamrot, in my honest opinion. Moicano, don't get me wrong, Moicano's a great grappler, great jiu-jitsu guy, but in my opinion, I think Jalin Turner, I think he'll be able to get back up on his feet if Moicano takes him down at some points, and I think that he's going to get a finish. I think Jalin Turner is going to get a knockout finish. I'm predicting a lot of knockouts here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go with Jalin Turner getting the knockout in the first round as well. I'm going to go late first round finish. I think he finds something later on in the round. I think he catches him. He might catch him with a head kick or something like that, and I think he puts away Moicano, maybe by TKO, and Jalin Turner gets the finish. I know Jalin Turner's going to probably be hunting for that finish because he wants to get a performance of the night bonus. Moicano wants money. Money Moicano, but, I think that if he decides to try and strike with Jalin Turner, I think that's a huge mistake. First off, Jalin Turner is 6'3", and obviously he's like the biggest lightweight in the whole division, right? I mean, bro, he literally should be a welterweight. But anyway, that's besides the point. Trying to strike with Jalin Turner is going to be a huge problem for Moicano, especially that he's not as good of a striker as Jalin Turner. Jalin Turner striking is actually very good, like damn near elite level, in my honest opinion. I think he's one of the better strikers actually in the lightweight division. Like, he's probably a top 5 striker in the lightweight division. Sue me. I don't give a shit what you say. I don't give a fuck. I think he is. Okay? So I'm going to go Jalin Turner winning by knockout. I think he eventually finds something and he catches Moicano. I can definitely see this be a decision victory for sure too. But I think Turner has to win those first 2 rounds. I think he has to get those 2 rounds, and then he has to find that, and then the third round, maybe he might slow down a little bit, and then Moicano probably has some moments in there as well. But who knows? We'll see what happens. But I'm going to go with Jalin Turner getting the victory in the first round, though. Next fight for the prelims is Sodiq Yusuff versus Diego Lopes. This is a very great matchup. I actually really do like this matchup. Diego Lopes has grown, on everybody in general. As of late, obviously, because he was able to get, I believe, isn't he on like a 3-fight win streak or something like that, if I'm not mistaken? Or he might have just won like 2 fights, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Oh yeah, so he's only on a 2-fight win streak, but his last 2 fights had great performances. Because he fought Movsar Evloev and lost to Evloev, but it was a very competitive fight, especially somebody who took it on short notice, and he's pretty much made a big name for himself in this division. And so Yusuff, another guy who I believe is a very good fighter, a very good striker. This is definitely a very intriguing matchup. I think Diego Lopes wins this. I think he just utilizes his grappling. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be very, very, I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. This is definitely, aside Evloev, the toughest matchup for Diego Lopes that he's faced so far. But I think that his grappling is, like, very, very good. I think Diego Lopes, I mean, his overall game is actually very good. He's actually really good, damn near all around. He's a very good all-around fighter, and I think he's going to be able to out-grapple Sodiq Yusuff. I don't think he's going to get a finish, though. I think it's going to be a unanimous decision victory. Could be a close fight, maybe. I think 29-28 going Diego Lopes' way. I think that early on, I think he's going to be the aggressor. And then maybe later on, Sodiq Yusuff starts having some moments, maybe in that third round, in the final round. But Diego Lopes still gets the victory. I think that, you know, Diego Lopes is, for what I've seen, his cardio looks very good. Obviously, he was able to go the full 3 rounds with Movsar Evloev, and he didn't look tired. He was just getting taken down continuously. But Sodiq Yusuff, you don't really have to worry about that, in my honest opinion, when it comes to Sodiq Yusuff. I think Sodiq Yusuff is primarily going to try and strike with him, to be quite honest with you. Even though I know he did get a submission 2 fights ago, but still, I think Diego Lopes, I don't think you want to grapple with Diego Lopes if I'm Sodiq Yusuff, in my honest opinion. So I'm going to go with Diego Lopes getting a unanimous decision victory, having a pretty solid performance. So yeah, Diego Lopes wins. Next fight, Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Not going to lie, this is another fight where I didn't do too much of my homework. Because, yeah, Kayla Harrison making her UFC debut. I've only seen clips of her in some of her fights, and it doesn't seem entertaining at all. Holm, obviously, a legend in the game, been in the UFC for fucking forever. I'm just gonna go with Kayla Harrison just because she's the younger prospect. I don't think that she's bad at grappling. Obviously, I believe from what I've seen, she's really good. I think she's like an Olympic level wrestler, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that she's just going to utilize her grappling. And it's probably going to be the most boring fight of the whole entire night, if I'm being honest with you. I think this is going to be Kayla Harrison trying to take down Holm, and she might be successful at some points in time. I don't know about her striking. I'm assuming Holm is just an overall better striker. I mean, I haven't watched a Holm fight in quite some time. But like I said, did no homework when it came to this fight, because I don't give a shit about this fight. I'm just gonna go with Kayla Harrison because she's just a lot younger. I think she's a lot hungrier. We're at the point where Holm is like at the tail end of her career. I believe. How old is Holm? Like 40-3 or some shit. She's very old. That's all I know. She's in her fucking 40s. So there's no way that I see her, fighting much longer. I want to be. If I'm being honest, I think maybe this might be the time. She's 42. That this could be her final fight in her career. We could be seeing the retirement of Holm at the biggest card pretty much of the year, in my opinion, at UFC 300. But I'm going to go with Kayla Harrison winning. I think she wins in her debut. Even though I know she fought Cans in the PFL, I still think that she's well enough. Her grappling is well enough to be able to dominate an older Holm. So yeah, that's going to be my prediction. And I think she's going to get a unanimous decision. I don't think she's going to get a finish or a submission or anything like that. I think she's just going to get a unanimous decision victory. 30-27 going Kayla Harrison's way. Next fight is Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. This is a very good fight. I was going to make a video about this, like a separate video on this, but I decided not to. But this is a great fight. Aljo making his debut in the featherweight division versus Calvin Kattar, who was one of the best boxers in the division. Very intriguing fight because it's like 2 different types of fighting styles of grappler versus boxer. I understand that sometimes those fights are boring, but I think Aljo's going to try and mix in the striking, obviously, like how he did in the bantamweight, when he was the champion in the bantamweight division, to try and use his pace and his striking to get into takedowns. And I think he's going to utilize that against Calvin Kattar. The one thing that you don't want to do with Calvin Kattar is try and get in a striking battle with Calvin Kattar, unless you're like Max Holloway, because we all know how that fight went. But this fight right here is very tough to predict, because you have to think, obviously, with that knockout loss against Sean O'Malley, not saying that his chin is deteriorating. I don't think Aljamain Sterling's chin is all that great anyway, but I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I just think that he has to really rely on the grappling to win this fight. And the biggest issue is, I think in the first round, he's going to have a lot of success. I think Aljo in that first round is going to be able to probably get the takedown on Calvin Kattar. I have not seen Calvin Kattar face a grappler, I don't think, in the featherweight division. I know his last fight, I believe he had a stoppage. It was a doctor's stoppage because he got injured in his last fight. And there was a fight that he had against, I believe, Giga Chikadze, that he did very well in. Oh, he had the robbery, in my opinion. It was a split decision victory that Emmett had over Kattar, but I believe Kattar won. He had a pretty good performance, and then he went against Arnold Allen, and got and then I believe he got injured in that fight. But primarily, he's faced strikers so far, so he's going to struggle, I believe, especially in the beginning. And Aljo I can definitely see a world where Aljo gets a submission victory. I can definitely see that. I think, listen, Calvin Kattar, I know that Calvin Kattar's been probably doing grapple heavy during this training camp. I know that he's been probably prepping a whole lot, because, this fight was announced in the beginning of the year. So probably since then, he's been just doing a whole lot of grappling, training, stuff like that. I still think it doesn't bode well too much for him. I still think that he's going to get taken down eventually by Aljamain Sterling. Man, this is so tough. Because before, I talked about this, I was like, okay, I think Calvin Kattar's going to win. I think he's going to be able to catch Aljo and be able to put him down. But I'm not entirely sure. This is a very close fight, because I can definitely see Aljo. Aljo, by the way, looks in spectacular shape. If you see in this video, this is not how he's going to look at 145, but, it looks like he's like 170 pounds here. This is fucking ridiculous. He is huge. But anyway, that's besides the point. Great shape. I'm going to go Aljamain Sterling. I'm going to go Aljo. The reason why I'm going to go Aljo is because I think Aljo will get the takedown. I think Aljo will be able to take Calvin Kattar's back in that first round. And I think he'll get the rear naked choke, similar how we did against Corey Sandhagen. And I think he's going to, obviously not trying to strike too much with a guy like Calvin Kattar, because he knows if you go up against a striker and you try to stand with a striker, it's going to be a big problem. He found that out against Sean O'Malley. I don't think he's going to make that same mistake twice. I think he's going to be able to eventually get a takedown on Calvin Kattar, and I think he gets a submission in the first round, and that's how he wins. Because to me, Aljamain Sterling is one of the best grapplers in the UFC. I think if anybody's going to be able to take down Calvin Kattar and submit him, especially in that division, it is Aljamain Sterling, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go with Aljo getting the submission victory. I changed my mind. I'm going to go with Aljamain Sterling. I'm not confident in it, because obviously Aljo could get caught and he could get put away, and for sure Calvin Kattar can knock him out, for sure. But I'm going to go Aljo getting the submission victory in the first round. I think he's able to get a takedown. I think with Calvin Kattar primarily being a boxer, and obviously he doesn't all that grapple that much at all. He doesn't really. He has 91% takedown defense, but who has he really faced that is a primarily a grappler? In my opinion, I think Aljo is going to be able to take him down. So I'm going to go with... It's kind of funny because you see these stats here, by the way. This is the grappling. And it says that takedown accuracy is higher for Calvin, but when does Calvin ever really shoot for a takedown? And then you have the takedown defense. It's higher for Aljo. It's lower for Aljo. And Calvin Kattar has 91% defense. That is insane. Obviously, you see the submission average a little higher for Aljamain Sterling. I think he eventually finds something because Calvin hasn't fought a guy like Aljo who is as good as a grappler as Aljo. So I'm going to say... Now I want to change my... Okay, I'm going to go Aljo first round submission. Fuck it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it like that. Yuri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic. The fact that Rakic is a favorite in this is fucking ridiculous. Yuri Prochazka is... I am pretty fucking confident in this. I'm confident that Yuri Prochazka is going to fucking send Alexander Rakic to the fucking Shadow Realm. And he's going to knock him out. I'm predicting that right now. Rakic hasn't fought in many years. Well, what was the last time Rakic has fought? It was against Jan Blachowicz, and that was years ago. That was in 2022. Damn near 2 years ago. And he hasn't fought since. There's no way, with the pace of Yuri Prochazka, that he puts on everybody, that Prochazka loses this fight. There's no fucking way. Rakic is getting smoked. Rakic is going to get fucking smoked by Prochazka. I don't give a shit. Yuri Prochazka, I don't care. Listen, that Pereira fight between him and Pereira, that was an early stoppage, and I still stand by that to this day. Okay, yes, did he get dropped? Absolutely. But that stoppage was bullshit, in my honest opinion. Very bad stoppage. Prochazka is still one of the best light heavyweight guys on the planet still. I don't care what nobody says. And Rakic hasn't fought a fight in so fucking long. They're almost 2 years. There's no fucking way. I'm so confident in this that Prochazka doesn't lose this shit. I would be shocked if Rakic gets it. Not saying, listen, I'm saying this like, oh, like Rakic could obviously like find something, but like I don't think he has like too many compared to Pereira. Pereira has like a lot of just ways that I feel like that he can win. But his last 2 fights before this against Thiago Santos and Anthony Smith were, unanimous decision victories. These are not really... he's not finishing anybody. You know what I mean? He's not putting people away. So what makes you think that somebody like Rakic is going to put away somebody like Yuri Prochazka? Yuri Prochazka puts on a pace that nobody really is ready for, except for, people who are obviously insane strikers. I think Rakic is going to struggle in this fight because he hasn't fought in such a long time, and his first fight back is against the guy who was just a champion. So there's no fucking way, in my opinion, that Yuri Prochazka. I feel like Prochazka wins this fight, and he wins by knockout. I think he knocks out Rakic. I'm gonna go with Yuri Prochazka beating Alexander Rakic, and I'm gonna say in the second round. I think eventually he finds that finish, but it's gonna be in the second round of the fight. So yeah, Prochazka wins. Now let's get into the main card. Bo Nickal, Cody Brundage. Why is this on the main card? Who the fuck knows? The UFC have a bias for Bo Nickal, obviously, right? That's probably why. I'm going to say Bo Nickal wins, right? But if Cody Brundage wins, that's fucking embarrassing, by the way. I just got to say. Minus 2,100 for Bo Nickal. Like, bro, you put $1, you get $1 once, and you get a penny back. Is there any reason, like, bro, I'm telling you guys right now, put $5 on Brundage, you become a millionaire. Fuck it. Just because, who knows? Maybe he gets the job done. Maybe he knocks out Bo Nickal and fraud checks him before he even, like, gets in the rankings. You know what I mean? But Bo Nickal, obviously, right? I'm going with a first-round submission, or maybe even a first-round knockout I'm going to go submission. I think that Bo Nickal is going to just primarily grapple. I think in his last fight, he showed the world that he can strike a little bit, even though his striking is very sloppy. And if he fought like a very good striker, he might get like torched. But Cody Brundage, I don't think Cody Brundage really poses a threat any which way possible. Obviously, Val Woodburn didn't really pose a threat at all. He really didn't. But yeah, I think Bo Nickal, I think he just takes down Cody Brundage and then he submits Cody Brundage eventually, and that's it. And Bo Nickal wins in the first round, like in the first 3 minutes of the fight. I think that Bo Nickal gets submission, and that's all she wrote. So yeah, that's my prediction. I'm going to go with Bo Nickal winning by submission in the first round. Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, I already made a video on this, but I picked Charles Oliveira. Like, if you guys want more in-depth, go to my last video. I picked Oliveira to beat Arman Tsarukyan in the second round by knockout. So that's my prediction for that. Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway. What a fucking fight this is. This is a fucking banger. Super excited for this fight. Max, it didn't really look like Max put on a whole lot of muscle. I mean, obviously, muscle doesn't have to really be shown, but still, his physique kind of pretty much looks similar to like how he looked last time in his last fight. So, not saying that Max didn't like gain a lot of strength and he doesn't have like more power, but still, fighting a guy like Justin Gaethje, I think that Justin Gaethje is going to pose too much of a threat. I think he's just going to pretty much kind of pummel Max Holloway and many moments of the fight. I think Max has some moments, especially I think early on. I think Max wins like the earlier rounds. Like maybe the first 2 rounds that he wins. But I think later on Gaethje is going to be able to figure out Max at some point. And he's going to be able to catch Max with some big time shots. Maybe not put away. I can definitely see, because Justin Gaethje said himself that Holloway he's not going to be able to knock out Max Holloway, but it's going to be a doctor stoppage, and I can definitely see that happen. If Max's face start looking like fucking like Joanna Jacek times 3, then it's gonna get really bad for Holloway, and they're probably gonna stop the fight. But I'm not gonna say that's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be a unanimous decision victory for Justin Gaethje. I think he wins 48-47. I think in the later rounds is when he really starts to pick it up and he starts to really piece up Max Holloway. One thing about Max Holloway is that he gets hit a lot. And you don't want to get hit a lot by Justin Gaethje. It's going to be not like the Tony Ferguson fight. Obviously, I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than the Tony Ferguson fight, but I think it's going to be like, especially in the 4th and 5th round, it's going to be moments where Gaethje's swinging in it, he's just catching Max. Obviously, like, Gaethje needs to really be careful with his stamina. The stamina of Max Holloway is always going to consistently be there, but I think Gaethje is going to kind of play it very smart, like how he did in his last fight, in his past 2 fights, and also in his fight against Tony Ferguson, where his strikes were more calculated. He took his time, and when he threw a lot of power, but he wasn't throwing with complete succession and just swinging his hands like a madman. I think he's going to still play it smart because he knows that Max Holloway is a huge threat, and Max Holloway can definitely strike with Gaethje. Like, he's gonna throw, like, there's gonna be a lot of strikes thrown in this fight if it goes to decision. It might be the most strikes thrown in the history, like the most strikes thrown in a single fight in UFC history. This will probably break the record. So I'm gonna go still with Justin Gaethje. I think that it will be fight of the night. I think it will be fight of the night. Aside Oliveira Arman. If Oliveira Arman is like extremely like fucking insane, which I could definitely see happen. But I think it's gonna be fight of the night. I think Gaethje and Holloway, they're just made for this shit, man. They're made for violence. These are the 2 guys. When you think of violence, you think of these 2 motherfuckers, right? Well, Yuri Prochazka too, but still, you think of these 2 motherfuckers. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Gaethje beating Max Holloway by unanimous decision. Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan. Zhang Weili looked great in her last fight, obviously. And Yan Xiaonan, I actually did watch Yan Xiaonan's last fight, and she looked good. But I just think, in my opinion, and she beat Andrade, and she knocked out Andrade. But the thing is, my biggest issue with Yan Xiaonan is I think that she's just not as good as Zhang Weili in any department, in my honest opinion, when it comes to fighting. I know, sue me. I think that Zhang Weili is the best strawweight on the planet. She is. And how old is Zhang Weili? I don't even know how old she is. She's 34, so she's still relatively young. I think Yan Xiaonan is obviously like definitely younger than her, I think. Oh, they're the same fucking age. What the fuck? Anyway, if I'm being honest, I think Zhang Weili wins by unanimous decision. I don't think there's going to be any type of finish in this fight. I think that Zhang Weili is going to be able to just capitalize on the grappling. She's going to capitalize in the striking. She's going to pretty much just outdo Yan Xiaonan in every single department possible, in my honest opinion. And I think it's just going to be a complete, just amazing. Sorry, the camera cut off. Talking about Zhang Weili and Yan Xiaonan still. I think it's going to be a very one-sided fight for the most part. Yan Xiaonan might have some moments, especially in the striking aspect, where she might have some moments against Zhang Weili, but I think Zhang Weili is going to be able to just outdo her in the grappling, and they're going to be able to just dominate her in other facets. So I'm going to go with Zhang Weili winning by unanimous decision, I think 49-46. And yeah. And then the main event, I already talked about the main event. I made a video about it, so it's on the channel. So if you guys want to go and see that, it is there. And I picked Alex Pereira to win by second round knockout. I think he's eventually going to catch Jamahal Hill. And a lot of footage of Jamahal Hill that I've watched, he's very flat-footed. Doesn't really move his feet that much. And he's open to a lot of leg kicks. I think that's going to stagnate Jamahal Hill to the point where even when he doesn't even move that much, like when he strikes, he's not light on his feet. He's very flat-footed. He keeps both feet on the ground, where he's not really like, you know, bouncing or anything like that. He's just kind of like just staying stagnant, and I think that's gonna hurt him. And he's gonna chop, like, Asperger's gonna chop them legs like they're fucking trees. And I think eventually, like, it's gonna, like, especially in that second round, it's going to start hurting Jamahal Hill, and Jamahal Hill's going to start opening up, and that's when eventually Alex Pereira catches him, and I think he gets knocked out, and Alex Pereira is still the light heavyweight champion. But that is my predictions. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this whole fight card, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to make a video about this whole fight card in general, but I see you guys soon with another video. Peace.